The test I'm about to conduct is being run on XenApp. I have a single XenApp server with a NVIDIA K2 card directly mapped into it. So really, it'd be no different than if I installed Windows Server on a physical box with a GPU in it. Just there's a hypervisor in play here, but we're not really doing VDI. We're just doing session-based computing, SBC. In this test, I have an OpenGL simulation running. Which I tend to use in a lot of my videos. Just as it's a great test that does a lot of different things in the test. But what I'm doing in this test that I didn't do in previous tests is I'm actually doing a scale test. I realize that in previous videos I've done, the results are not accurate. They're true to what I tested, but the problem is as you scale something, you have, in this case, 8 different instances of something reaching in to use the GPU. So really, if you're going to be testing any GPU, you need to test the session or the VM, the last session, the last VM. So the reason I chose 8 in this scenario is because in future tests, what I'm going to be running is comparing it to an NVIDIA GRID K2 on XenDesktop, using 8 VMs on half of the K2. And for those that may not understand that, the K2 is split in 2, and there's 2 GPUs in it. And if I can choose to only use half of it, and at K200 mode, you're supposed to be able to get 8 VMs on a K2 and K200, which means a total scalability per card of 16 VMs. But since I can limit it to just 8, it makes it easier from a test standpoint. So I only have to run 8 at a time instead of 16. So in any case, that's similar to what I just did here. Half of the GRID K2 card has been carved out and it was sent directly to a Windows server that I installed XenApp on. And I'm just doing session-based computing times 8. So I'm going to use the exact same resources, the half of the K2 in my next test. But this time, in my next test, I'm going to have 8 VMs running instead of 8 sessions. But obviously, in a shared mode like this, it does an extremely good job, and it makes sense. Frankly, the Windows server has direct access to the GPU. I've been going back and forth, which I realized about halfway through this test that you kind of miss things because of it. So I decided to stop at this point and just allow the screen to stay on 1 so you could really see. Here the frame rate's pretty low as the test continues to go. It's still good. Obviously, it's doing a full OpenGL. I mean, it's a pretty big design it's bringing up there. So anyway, I'm going to stick to this session and just allow you to see how it goes. And at the end of the testing, we're going to see a final benchmark. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions I need to answer for people watching this on YouTube. It's running on the vSphere hypervisor. I did that out of convenience more than anything else. If you can hear a buzzing sound in the background, it's because my Xen server's in the background doing a separate set of tests right now. It's running, I've got a different K2 in that server and it's running some tests. So it's just really convenience. I could run this test at the same time if I had it on vSphere. Also, it doesn't matter when you're doing direct pass-through like this. You know, I think VMware calls it direct path, and I think Citrix calls it pass-through. I'm not really sure, but it doesn't matter. In the end, it's taking a GPU that's on the PCIe bus and just sending it directly to the VM. You're actually bypassing the hypervisor, so your performance is going to be good. One test, when we talk about direct mapping on a VM, it'd be having the entire GPU for just that VM, which is what we're doing here with XenApp. It's just since it's XenApp, we can do session and we can have multiple people log into it. So here we go with the final score. I'm going to go through each one of these, and we can see each one: 456, 431, 437, 420, so on and so forth. They're basically averaging between 420, 430, somewhere in there. So that's the score for XenApp running on a GRID K2.